Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and what we're going to make are cupcakes, but we're going to make marble cupcakes. This is a pretty quick and easy recipe, but I think it's a good recipe too. So let's get started. Now, I no longer put the recipe below the video, and I'm really sorry about that. I'll explain in a few moments. But hopefully I'll go slowly enough and clearly enough in the directions that if you want to jot them down and whatever, that you can. Okay? So let's talk about our dry ingredients. You're going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to be putting in 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And yes, that was 1.5. We're also going to be putting in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then just with my little whisk here, I'm just going to give it a good stir. Okay, and we'll set the dry aside. All right, the next thing now, let's move on to our eggs. You need 2 eggs, and they should be at room temperature. Unfortunately, one of mine broke, so I'm just going to put the eggs right in. Now, you can also use your hand mixer for this if you prefer, but I like my stand mixer because it's very quick for the videos, that type of thing. So I'm also going to warn you that every time I put on the mixer, I want you to be aware of the sound, so that you have a heads up so that you can lower it on your end or do whatever that you want to do when I tell you that the sound is going to be probably, well, it's going to seem loud. So, and again, I'm sorry about that as well. All right, so I'm just going to, for a few seconds, turn on and get these eggs broken up. Normally I would be at a higher speed, but it could, again, because of the sound, I usually at a medium speed. It's going to be up to you if you're using your hand mixer. You just want to have the eggs, you know, well combined. What's real important is that once we get the eggs in here, and then we're going to add the sugar, we really want them to be very smooth and almost where it's, you know, they look frothy, if that makes sense. So the next thing we're going to do is put in 2/3 of a cup of granulated sugar to the eggs, and I'm going to warn you about the sound. Now, this is the part where you do want to spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so that they really are beaten well together. They seem very light, seem very fluffy, that kind of thing. Now I'm going to just move it along because of the video, and again I'm going to turn it up, and I'm going to go all the way up just to speed things along. So again, warning you about the sound. Those two mixtures come together and you have a nice yellow color to them, and you feel that you've beaten it long enough, and again, I would beat mine normally a bit longer than that. We're going to now put in 1.5 sticks of butter, and I would suggest unsalted butter if you have it. But 1.5 sticks. Now I went ahead and I melted this, and then allow it to cool, because you know you don't want to add, you know, hot butter or to eggs, you know, to make, well, scrambled eggs basically. So let it cool. So I'm going to put in that 1.5 sticks of melted unsalted butter. And then again, beat this for about a minute or two, that type of thing. Again, I'm going to warn you about the sound. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be putting in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And you'll want to just beat that in. And I'm just basically mixing it right now. Okay? Now let's go over to the dry ingredients and the milk. So we're going to need 1/2 cup of milk, and you've already saw that we took the dry and we did mix it together. I'm going to put a little of that in, and then I'm going to start just to mix it in. Not so much beat it really long, because I really think the more that we beat our batters, they become dense or tough. And then I go ahead and I put all my milk in, all at one time. Now you can alternate it if you prefer, but I find with this recipe it works better this way. And now I'm going to put the rest of my flour, or my dry ingredients, I should say. Okay. Now again, I'm going to warn you about the sound, because I'm going to raise it up. Just beat it till it's mixed at probably medium speed. I went up higher, of course, because of the video. Okay, and now I'm going to just try to take my paddle out here and take off that excess. And I'm going to put that on the side. All right. Here we go. Now what I want to do is just to make sure that everything came together, clean the sides of my mixing bowl, get to the bottom with my spatula, that type of thing. Okay? So now you have a very silky, smooth batter. Okay? Now, you might feel that it seems a little thin, but they come out so good, these cupcakes. They come out very light. They're not dense at all. Okay? Now, what you're going to do next is you're going to need a small bowl, and I like to use this very small little teaspoon. And what you'll want to do is to take about anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of a cup of the batter out of this. And put it in a bowl, like that. And like I said, I do anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4, because I don't want to end up with too much chocolate either, you know? Okay? All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add baking cocoa, 2 tablespoons, to that mixture, and give that a stir. And this you do, make sure that you do want to combine it well. You don't want the lumps and the bumps and all that good stuff. Now, I will tell you that sometimes you're going to maybe experience that you'll say, you know what, that just looks a little too thick for me, So what you can do, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit of milk, well, I think I'm going to put in like a little bit of like 1/2 of a cap of my milk, which is probably 1/4 of a teaspoon, probably, just to thin it out a little bit. If you find that you think eyeballing it's too thick. I find it really depends too on the temperature of my kitchen when I'm doing this, but that just is a little bit smoother, as you can see. Now, instead of adding that at the end, you can also leave just a little bit of milk before you put it all into your batter. It's very small, kind of minuscule. All right, so now we've got our chocolate, we've got our our vanilla batter ready, and then of course we're going to need, because it'll render and yield 12 cupcakes, so I've got 12 liners ready. And this is what I like to use, is my scoop. You know, what everybody kind of eyeballs and putting in, you know, when we make cupcakes, generally they say, oh, fill them about 2/3 of the way. But in these marble ones, what I like to do is, and I don't know if you can see the size of it, I will put on the video the number of the scoop. And I'm just going to take a level scoop and put it in my liner. And then what I like to do is about on this, it's probably about a little over a teaspoon. I like to just put a dollop on top of it, right in the center, okay, of that. And then I take another level scoop and I put it right on top. And then with a toothpick or a skewer like I have, I just actually put like a cross. So I go this way and I go that way. You can also then add another movement to it, but you don't want to do it too much either, okay? So we'll do that again. We'll put the one level scoop in, about a half of a teaspoon right in the center of it. I'm sorry I don't have an overhead camera to show you that. And then I'm going to put another level spoon right on top. And then again, toothpick or skewer, I'm going to just, actually, I like to put a cross and then put 2 more slashes, but a cross will do it. Okay, now what you're going to do is, also, not to confuse things, I have made them where I put my 2 scoops of vanilla batter in, and then my half a teaspoon of chocolate on the top of that, and then I went ahead and I did that. You can do that too. It's really up to you what you choose to do on that. But I wanted to show you doing it where you're layering it. You got batter, then you got chocolate, then you got batter on top. But I have done it where I've done the 2 scoops of batter, then the dollop of chocolate, and then give it that cross, that double cross. Now you're going to bake it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and it's going to take anywhere from 18 to 20 minutes. Now, you know that all our ovens set up so differently. I start checking mine, believe it or not, at about 12 or 13 minutes. I really do take a quick look. I don't leave the oven up too long or anything like that. These particular cupcakes, I think, bake well in the middle shelf. I will tell you that I prefer to bake them just 1 tray at a time. You certainly can do 2 trays and rotate, but I just find the best results when I just bake the 1 at a time, that kind of thing. And then when you're done filling them, just give it a nice tap before you put it in the oven. Now when they come out, you'll want to put that whole tray on a cooling rack for at least about 10 minutes. And then you'll want to take your cupcakes out of that. I put them back on my cooling rack and wait till they cool down to garnish them with a frosting or an icing, or, well, they're delicious just eating them plain, even with a little sprinkled powdered sugar on top. So I'm going to wash my hands very quickly and show you a finished product. Okay, I was working with raw eggs, and I certainly do not want to touch cupcakes. So this is how they come out. You can see how pretty they are. Now, on This particular one that I did, this one I believe it was, I did one with the dollop on the top that I talked about. But if you prefer to have it where you don't see as much of them, try that layering method. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not making it too confusing here. I just want to give you, as many options that you have. And we're just going to cut into one, open it up here. They'll have a nice light golden brown on the bottom. Okay, it's a good size cupcake, Now, if you want to make them larger, adjust your baking for a little longer. But I like to get 12 out of this recipe. And then when you open them up, you'll see your chocolate and your vanilla. Okay, and you can see by me just squeezing them how light and delicate these are. They're not dense, they're not heavy, and even the crumb on them, I don't know if you can see with my knife, but how easily it just pulls away because they are so soft and light. So there you have it. You've got a recipe for 12 marble cupcakes. I think you'd like this recipe if you give it a try, and if you do try it, please let me know. Leave me a comment, or if you have a question, I will do my very best to answer in a timely fashion. I also want to tell you why I'm sorry I don't put my recipes below my video anymore, and I'm not alone on this at all. But I got tired of seeing my work pinned and posted and taken to other sites, that when people wrote to me with a question or a comment, I couldn't answer them. And it's so frustrating. So it's just not worth it anymore to do that. So please, if you're so inclined, you'd like to subscribe to my channel or ring the bell, well, I'd really appreciate it. So keep in mind that I only put my videos on YouTube. So thanks for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you soon.